September 1939. Britain sends its soldiers to war. They carry Lee Enfield rifles designed in 1995. They carry tactics forged in the trenches of 1918. And they carry a confidence built on empire, a belief that discipline and courage will be enough. They are wrong. Over the next 6 years they will run from France, stand alone in burning skies, watch their cities collapse under bombs, learn to fight in deserts without maps, jungles without roads, and oceans where every convoy is hunted. They will be broken, rebuilt, transformed. By 1945, they will return victorious, but no longer imperial, no longer innocent, and no longer the same men who marched away. This is not the story of Churchill's speeches or Montgomery's victories. This is the story of the ordinary soldier and how the worst war in human history remade him, step by step, continent by continent. From 1939 to 1945, this is their evolution. If this kind of history speaks to you, the kind that doesn't glorify but remembers, then subscribe, because this channel tells the stories that were lived in silence and deserve to be heard out loud. Britain declares war on Germany in September 1939, but the army standing behind that declaration is designed for a different war. Just 200,000 regular soldiers, trained for colonial policing, not continental warfare. Their doctrine is built on World War I, slow-moving infantry advances, trench defense, artillery preparation. Germany, meanwhile, is preparing to fight at the speed of machinery. Britain has tanks, but too few, and worse, no unified doctrine for using them. Armor, infantry, and air support operate separately. Communication is fragmented. Coordination is theoretical. The British soldier in 1939 is disciplined, he is brave, he is professional, but he is not ready for what is about to hit him. May 1940. The British Expeditionary Force deploys to France, expecting to dig in and hold a defensive line. Instead, they meet the Blitzkrieg. German armor punches through Allied positions in days, not months. Tanks, dive bombers, and motorized infantry move as one organism. British radios can't coordinate with French units. Infantry marches on foot, while panzers surge past them in steel columns. Encircled, outmaneuvered, obsolete. The retreat to Dunkirk is chaos, burning vehicles, abandoned equipment, men wading into the sea hoping for rescue. 338,000 soldiers are evacuated. It is called a miracle, but the cost is undeniable. Every tank, every vehicle, every piece of heavy artillery left behind on the beaches. They saved the men, they lost the army. And the soldiers who cross back to England know the truth. They were not beaten by better soldiers, they were beaten by a better system. That realization is the first crack in the old certainty. Summer 1940, with France fallen and Europe occupied, Britain stands alone. The Luftwaffe comes. Young RAF pilots, many still teenagers, fly sortie after sortie during the Battle of Britain. Some sleep in their flight suits beside the aircraft. Radar stations hidden along the coast provide just enough warning to scramble. The sky becomes a battlefield, and Britain holds. But when air superiority fails, Hitler pivots to terror. The Blitz begins. For 8 months, German bombers rain fire on London, Coventry, Liverpool, Birmingham. Over 40,000 civilians die. Entire neighborhoods vanish overnight. Families sleep in tube stations. Children are evacuated to the countryside, clutching gas masks. The British soldier is no longer just fighting abroad. He is watching his homeland burn, and it changes him. This is no longer an imperial war fought in distant colonies. This is survival. The war explodes outwards. North Africa, Greece, the Mediterranean, the Far East. Britain sends troops everywhere, faster than it can train them, faster than it can supply them, faster than it can lead them effectively. February 1942, Singapore falls. 80,000 British and Commonwealth troops surrender to a smaller Japanese force. It is the largest capitulation in British military history. Poor intelligence, underestimation of the enemy, collapse of morale, inadequate jungle training. The myth of invincibility, already cracked at Dunkirk, shatters completely. At the same time, forces are fighting Rommel in the desert, defending convoys in the Atlantic, preparing for campaigns in Burma and Italy. Britain is everywhere, and nowhere strong enough.
This is not just Britain's war. Over 2.5 million Indian soldiers serve. Thousands more come from Africa, the Caribbean, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. They fight in every theatre: desert, jungle, mountain, sea. They serve under the Union Jack, but they are paid less, decorated less, and remembered even less. After the war, many are erased from the story entirely. Yet without them, there is no victory. The empire fights its last war in uniform, and even as it does, the empire is already dying. These soldiers will help end the war that ends the world they fought for. In 1942, the Western Desert becomes a theater lagging in strength and confidence. Early battles against Rommel expose every weakness: poor coordination between tanks and infantry, supply lines stretched too thin, commanders unable to adapt to mobile warfare. Defeat teaches what training didn't. Slowly, the army learns. Tanks begin working with infantry, not ahead of them. Air support coordinates with ground attacks. Logistics, fuel, water, ammunition become as important as firepower. October 1942, El Alamein. The Eighth Army, now reorganized and rethinking everything, breaks Rommel's line. It is Britain's first major land victory of the war. It is not just a battlefield success. It is proof that the British soldier can adapt, can modernize, can win. While North Africa makes headlines, another war is being fought in silence: Burma. The jungle swallows roads, maps become useless, visibility drops to meters. British and Indian troops face a Japanese enemy that moves like ghosts, ambushing, encircling, vanishing. Malaria kills more men than bullets. Monsoon rains turn the ground to swamp. Supplies arrive only by airdrop, if they arrive at all. Units like the Chindits operate for weeks behind enemy lines, surviving on what they can carry and what falls from the sky. 1944, Imphal and Kohima. Outnumbered and encircled, Allied forces hold their ground in some of the most brutal close-quarters fighting of the war. They stop Japan's advance into India. But back in Britain, almost no one notices. For the men who fought there, it is the hardest war and the quietest. In 1945, the war ends just as it started, with improvised men. Britain begins creating units designed not to hold ground, but to break it. Commandos, SAS, paratroopers. They strike behind enemy lines, sabotaging railroads in France, raiding airfields in North Africa, destroying bridges in Norway, gathering intelligence in occupied Europe. They train in isolation, move in darkness, operate in small teams with no backup. While armies advance on the ground, RAF Bomber Command wages war from above. Night after night, British bombers fly deep into Germany. Hamburg, Cologne, Dresden, Berlin. Entire cities burn in firestorms. Industrial centers collapse. Civilian and military targets blur into ruin. The cost is staggering. Bomber Command suffers one of the highest casualty rates of any branch. Some squadrons lose over half their crews. Young men fly mission after mission, knowing the odds are against them. This is strategic warfare, calculated, necessary, and it weighs on everyone who flies it.
While soldiers fight on land, pilots fight in the air. Another war rages unseen. The Battle of the Atlantic. German U-boats hunt British convoys, trying to starve the island into surrender. Over 30,000 British merchant sailors die, many of them civilians, unarmed, unremembered. Victory comes slowly. Convoy escort tactics, sonar technology, radar advances, and the breaking of the Enigma code. The British soldier on the front line never sees this war, but without it, he doesn't eat, he doesn't move, he doesn't fight. June 6, 1944. The British army that lands on gold and sword beaches is unrecognizable from the one that fled Dunkirk 4 years earlier. It is experienced, mechanized, supported by Commonwealth divisions, artillery, and air superiority. It has learned from every failure. From the beaches of Normandy, through the hedgerows of France, across the Rhine, into the heart of Germany, the advance is slow, brutal, and relentless. The army that ran in 1940 has returned, not to survive, to finish. April 1945. British soldiers liberate Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. What they find destroys something inside them. Thousands of corpses stacked like firewood, survivors too weak to stand, disease, starvation, silence. They bury the dead with bulldozers. Many of these soldiers have fought for 6 years. They have seen combat in deserts, jungles, cities, but nothing prepared them for this. Here, in this place, the war becomes real in a way no battlefield ever could. And for many, this is the moment they understand why they fought. May 8, 1945. Victory in Europe. Crowds celebrate in the streets, flags wave, church bells ring. But for many soldiers, the celebration feels distant. 383,000 British military personnel are dead. Millions return home with wounds that will never fully heal. Physical, psychological, invisible. The British Empire, the thing many of them believed they were defending, begins to unravel. India will be independent within 2 years. The world they left in 1939 no longer exists. The soldier that marched away, young, confident, believing in the old certainties, returns as someone else entirely. He fought across 3 continents, survived impossible odds, saw horrors no one should see. And most of them don't ask to be repaid. They asked to be remembered. They didn't march into victory. They evolved into it. Through retreat and fear, through exhaustion and adaptation, through wars fought in deserts, jungles, skies, and seas. The British soldier survived a war that was never meant to be survivable. And though they fought for country, for duty, for each other, many came home to silence. No parades, no recognition, just the quiet weight of what they had seen. If this story brought you closer to them, if it gave you a clearer picture of what war really asks of ordinary people, then subscribe, because these are the voices history buried, and here we bring them back.